Good evening, friends. I am requested to speak because Chidanandji will be late little bit. So this topic, should we live in adjustment to the society around us? A very long title selected by Chidanandji. What it means that should we conform to the society and the values of the society around us. But the first question is, what is society? We are also the part of the society, and in every society, there are all kinds of people, and some are very harmful to the society, and some are very helpful to the society, and corruption and violence, and even philosophers and artists and musicians. All of us make a society. But generally, I think this question is asked by very few people who are thinking, and maybe they have some problem in adjusting to the society. Most people, they try to adjust to the society. That means they follow what their parents say, what their gurus, what their religion, they follow everything and they don't have much conflict. They may have conflict, uh, but they accept it as a part of living. But some people who are more sensitive and they feel that what is happening in the society, the values of like violence, corruption, to earn a lot of money, to become famous, this is there is something wrong about becoming somebody in society. So some people who are more sensitive to their own mind and body, they feel that to conform to the society means to do some harm to the body and the mind because the society expects you to become successful, to become to earn a lot of money and become famous and like that. So Krishnaji once said to adjust into the sick society, which is not a healthy society, and to adjust into sick society is not a sign of health. So I think many of us who are interested in something deeper, understanding our own mind, understanding humanity, we ask such question. And to not to conform or not to adjust to the society is not easy because it means to stand alone on our own clarity. And sometimes life becomes very difficult when we try to go against what majority of the people they are trying to do. So to be honest, to be to have a good healthy mind, to have a good healthy body, and to do the right thing is not easy. And it is easy to get carried away by the majority of the people. So if I give my own example, that I lived in India for many years and not had any contact with the Western culture. But when I went to America, I found it very difficult to adjust in the American society. So I used to meet only people who were Indians. and we were cooking Indian food, and just give more importance to the study and the work, and not do what the Americans were doing, because it was, at least for me, it was very difficult. I found that to have drugs and drinking and smoking and sex and all that, because I was brought up in a different kind of a culture, and American society was quite different. So I felt lost, felt very lonely in the beginning. But uh, when I read a book of Krishnamurti, and then I began to understand that I am not an Indian or a Hindu. I am a human being, and psychologically, I am not different from other people. And when I realized that I am not Hindu or Indian, I am a human being, I begin to open up to people of many different nationalities and different religion. I lived with them. And so, of course, we don't need to drink and smoke to have friends. I did not tried drinking and smoking, though my friends were going, they were doing all kinds of things. But I told them that my life is different. So I was able to live happily, even in American society, culture, though I had very few friends. But I enjoy walking in nature. I was active in the Indian uh, association, some cosmopolitan club, but I did not live like Americans. So I did not adjust to the culture, and my main focus was to study. And I used to spend a lot of time reading many books and walking and talking with few people. So I think that if we are very clear that our life is meant for some purpose, not just to make money and become famous and be powerful. If we are very clear that um, we want to live a healthy life with a healthy body and healthy mind, because in trying to adjust to the society with the competition and violence and desire to become somebody, a lot of damage is done to human beings. And they do become successful, many people, by adjusting, but they don't find happiness. They don't find real peace. They can't meditate. They can't be alone. They can't enjoy nature like that, and they don't read good books. So, to adjust to society, generally it means watching all those modern films and music, which is very noisy, and films which are a lot of violence and all that. So, I try to avoid even in India, and my life is mostly not adjusting even in when I'm in Bhavnagar. I am mostly in my room. I go for a walk to Victoria Park. I I know very few people, but I have many friends all over the world, so I can communicate with them. So I think it is possible to not to adjust to the sick society. One can live with honesty. One can earn money also, not too much money, but what we need for our survival. So, if we are clear that we want to live a healthy life, then we will not follow the sick society. And so, this is what I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harshad sir. At 6:25, we will be having Chidanandji with us. Meantime, may I request Shakti ji? Am I able to see him? Shakti ji? Are you here?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Meantime, you can say something.
Yeah, my voice is reaching, sir.
Okay.
My
Yes.
voice, yeah. To adjust to a society doesn't necessarily means to conform to a society. In our own literature, it has been said that Atmane Pratikulani Paresham na Samacharit. Don't behave with others which you find unpleasant for yourself. So, society means people around us, our relationships, and if we are listening to them, we are attentive to them, and see their conditioning, our own conditioning. So we don't need to quarrel with society. We can accept those things which our heart says is fine, and don't participate in those things about which our heart doesn't agree. Adjustment is a strong word. I don't need to make adjustment, but there is no conflict. If there is no conflict within me, there will be no conflict outside. So the basic work is to see one's own conflict and to watch, to observe, and to work on them. And then perhaps we can relate to people, and in that relationship, because we are the society, so we are our own teacher and our own disciple, and in this we share with others. Thank you, sir.
May I request Chidanandji? May I request Chidanandji?
Yes, yes.
Would you please like to
So,
continue to speak on the topic?
surely.
Oh, definitely. Thank you very much, sir. Please go ahead.
I thank Harshad ji and Shakti ji for sharing their thoughts on this topic. I was to reach home at 5, but I reached at 6:10, freshened up and joined here. And I'm confident that they have thrown precious light on this topic. The topic being, should we adjust to a sick society? Other day I came across a very nice message which said, those who are honest and bold persist in trying to find a solution to a problem that they face. Those who are cowardly and are attached to mere pleasure and comfort, upon facing a problem, they look for an escape route. They see how they can do something else and drop this project, drop this work, drop this action that they had taken up. That way, escaping and going from one project to another, one work to another, always escaping and running away, they become more and more miserable. That very psychological tendency will deny to them peace. I am quoting this here how the weak, the dishonest find an escape rather than trying to solve a problem. I'm quoting it because that is what happens when we adjust with a sick society. When we adjust with a sick society, certainly we have to close our eyes to many of the unjust and unfair practices of the society. And when we say society, it may begin with our own family, our own institution, our own little group of friends, and so on. For the sake of continuing our membership in a circle of friends, in an institution, in a family, and so on, can we really afford to compromise with values? By adjusting to a sick society, we may surely enjoy some privileges. The sick people of the society will tell us, close your eyes to certain things we do, and we will ensure that your comfort, your position, your name and fame will all be intact. In fact, we will honor you more with new awards, with new forms of uh, felicitation. Just don't pick on some of the so called errors on our part. Therefore, in his very famous statement, Krishnaji has said that it is no measure of health. Please, maybe this was quoted already by the previous speakers, but this is a very powerful quote where Krishnamurti lashes out at all of us who live in compromise. He says it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. When we see somebody who has, quote and unquote, adjusted to the society, who are moving with the flow, who, quote, while in Rome, do as Romans do, they advise others also. You know, you have to know how to live in this society. Don't get into conflicts. Don't get into any confrontations. Keep quiet. Shut your eyes. Shut your ears. Shut your mouth. And adjust. So, while the three monkeys of Gandhiji were about shutting the ears to evil, closing the eyes towards evil, and not speaking what is evil. Here I use the same three expressions: close your eyes, shut your ears, close your mouth. But here it is not with respect to evil, but it is with respect to the what you see and the possibility of responding, possibility of doing something to you either stop those evil or let people know that you don't appreciate it. Gandhiji loved those three monkeys more in terms of not to take them inside you, not to take evil inside you. But here, without analyzing that quote and this quote more than necessary, the issue is I'm using the expression shutting our eyes in the context of How many of us know our conscience says we must do something, but we quieten our conscience. We muffle this conscience. Before others say to us, we ourselves say to our own inner voice, shh, I better not talk now, I will lose my position. I better not see what those guys are doing. If I do, if I say something, I will not get some benefits. So, attached to comfort, attached to fame, name, attached to some external glitter, glamour, etc., we have a tendency to not talk about the contradictions. So, it is no measure of health. Somebody who adjusts well with the society and from a distance looks successful, you know, family members and our near and dear ones are very likely to tell us, hey, don't be so unwise, don't be so impractical. Look at that gentleman, look at this lady, how they are so intelligent. They go with the flow and see how wealthy they have become, how wonderfully they travel around the world, how popular they are, da da da. So, yes, these people might be envied from a distance, but actually, going by the fact that they are living in compromise, these people are sick only. Essentially, those who claim to be clever or wise or practical or intelligent are actually living in great compromise, and therefore their bosom cannot have true peace. This business of adjusting with a sick society goes very deeply into the other issue, having to be honest, to live in integrity. Everybody uses these words: honesty, integrity, transparency, clean, being clean, and so on. But I am afraid in our society, very few really go by these values. They don't think much about. Those are for lip service, as we call it, in little get togethers or over tea, over coffee, over dinner, at some nice place. They have much to say. The test of their living those values comes when actually a temptation faces them or they face a threat from somewhere. If you speak the truth, you will lose your job. Suppose there is such a threat, then all their honesty and integrity go out of the windows. Therefore, this question, should we adjust with a sick society, obviously is intimately related to ethics, morality. We have Yudhishthira's case in the Mahabharata when Dronacharya went on leave for a few days and asked the five Pandavas and the 100 Kauravas to learn some values, some 10 values he had given. The first one was Satya, truthfulness. And then there were other like, you maybe discipline, maybe respect for elders, maybe cleanliness, maybe self control, and many things. This first one was truthfulness. When he came back after 3 or 4 days of leave, he asked every student, tell me what the values were which I wanted you to learn. All of them submit. You asked us to learn these 10 values, sir. We can even explain what these values are. And some of them gave lengthy explanations or elaborations on each of those values. In this well known story, we find Yudhishthira remaining totally silent. And when Dronacharya asks him, Tell me, did you not learn those values? Did you not reflect? Don't you have something to say? He put his head down. He said, ever since you left, I have been pondering truthfulness and deep contemplation and wondering how one can be truthful, what the challenges of somebody trying to be truthful are, and so on. Sir, forgive me, in the 3 days I could not go beyond the first value. That is one of the most powerful stories, but those stories also we memorize and we narrate. We include it in our speeches, in our essays. We put it on a bow, on a wall. We put everything on the wall and then wash our hands. Our job is done. Alas, no wonder Krishnaji discouraged us from talking about values, talking about especially out of memory, list, give out the list and so on. So his appeal for absolute integrity and here his warning against adjusting with a sick society for the benefit of you know, staying afloat, staying in high position and so on. He warned us against it. Therefore, we need to be introspective. For one thing that we discover as we become philosophically mature is the means and end are one. The means itself becomes the end. You cannot use a wrong means for a right end. And if you have engaged or if you have used the right means, it cannot give you a wrong result. Superficially, everybody may dispute this. Superficially, everybody may say, what are you talking? When we look around in the society, there are so many people who use wrong means and have risen to high positions. They are having a good time. And we who are honest are being punished. We who are truthful are thrown off the wagon, as the expression goes. We are on the way, on the journey, just lifted and thrown by the roadside because we were honest, we were truthful. This is what we hear, but that is not true. When somebody who claims he is honest and at the same time cries that he has been thrown off the wagon, I can tell you from my personal experiences or knowledge of people, that guy may be honest in a certain context or from a certain angle of view, maybe financially honest, maybe somewhat moral, what you call verbally honest, but he is not being truly honest. There is some weakness, some kind of inner contradiction with which he lives. Therefore, he has not risen high. Ancient traditional wisdom also says somebody who lives 360 degrees honestly. 360 degrees, as you know, is an expression for saying from all angles of view. You see, you may not tell a lie. You may not cheat anybody of money. You may not deceive anyone in some other way. But suppose you tell a child, so child is trying to eat 4 or 5 chocolates at one go. You tell a child very lovingly, like a highly wise old man or an old woman, you say to the child, look, don't eat 5 chocolates in the same day. Eat one only, okay? You are such a good boy. I love you. And you say all those and advise him. Especially other elders are watching. They also appreciate the wonderful advice you gave to the child. The child agrees, yes, uncle, or yes, grandpa. I will take only one chocolate today, leave the others with mummy, and tomorrow she will give me the second. The child goes away. Triumphantly, feeling so good about such a wonderful advice that you gave, you go to your own room, and there is a box full of laddus. And you close the door and you say, for such a good work I did, I must now celebrate. You take one laddu and then you blame it on the laddu. If it were not so delicious, I would not take a second one, but it is incredibly delicious. Can't resist it. So, second one, and the third one, and the fourth one. Then your conscience says, just now you advised that little child only one chocolate per day, but you gobbled four of them, laddus. And you somehow justify it, somehow rationalize it, somehow go for some high philosophy to make it, to whitewash your little error. So, such a person who does not tell lies, because in this matter also he may not talk about this laddu business at all. So, he did not openly tell lies. Next day, somebody asks, how many laddus did you eat yesterday? You are very clever. You say, we have grown up a lot. Let us not talk about laddus. Let us talk about freedom. Let us talk about awareness. Some blah blah you say, cleverly you avoid telling a lie. That avoiding telling a lie in the verbal context doesn't make you an honest person. You cleverly avoided reference to that episode. So such people become weak. I mentioned traditional wisdom. They talk about Atma Bala. Atma Bala is inner strength. Atma Bala is certain vivacity, certain energy, certain bravery, certain courage that will arise from within you when you have kept your house tidy, when you have set your own house in order. Atma Bala is the strength that comes from within, not from your position, your name or fame, your salary, your wealth, your youthfulness, and so on. Atma Bala. Therefore, friends, this very powerful question, should we adjust with a sick society, stirs up in us. It really stirs up in us certain conscience. The conscience as though wakes up with new force, and the conscience then tries to bring us back to the right path. Therefore, no wonder no less a person than Socrates, just before dying, gave that speech which is known as apology, which means submission in that context. In that famous speech, Socrates makes a statement which is much quoted: an unexamined life is not worth living. Alas, a lot of people live an unexamined life and adjust with the sick society. They want to be invited to all parties, all get togethers. They want to be in limelight. They want to go around putting up plastic smiles. All that has become very important to these people, because otherwise, why would they adjust with the sick society? Lastly, I must also touch upon what it means not to adjust. That doesn't mean every day pick up a quarrel with dishonest people, corrupt people, every day pick up a quarrel with the liars and so on. That's not what is meant. You and I should exert to discover right ways, right ways of questioning others, questioning ourselves. It's not to create all kinds of friction wherever we go. Rather, we must employ good communication, and that is an art by itself. But if we are passionate about it, we will find the ways without disturbing our relationships much. Some disturbance is unavoidable, but we should find a balance. Because, in spite of the wrongs that people are doing, we do love them. We are in them, they are in us. We do love them. And keeping that love for all intact, we need to deal with the sickness in the air around us. We need to try to help them get healthy. Instead, if we adjust with them, that makes us also sick. To adjust with a sick society, obviously, is in the sense of you also have that sickness, and the sick people finding you too are sick in the same way are very much at ease with you, at peace with you. Adjusting with the sick society here very much means you also partake of that ailment, that disease, that sickness. That is no measure of health, that no measure of maturity, says Krishnaji. Therefore, I would conclude my words saying this is a powerful statement, a powerful question that awakens the conscience in us, which very often goes to sleep in this world's numerous scenarios. Thank you.
Prasad sir. Prasad sir, please.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Sir, I am distracted by your Himalayan costume. Sir, as Swamiji has rightly said, it's a very powerful statement whether we should adjust to a sick society. Society is sick. It has all wrong values. Otherwise, we won't have so many wars. But as Harshadji has said, we are the society. Society is not something different from us. So we are responsible for the sickness. We are part of that sick society. We have contributed for that. And in turn, we are made by that, We share the values of the society and all that. Yesterday, I was reading a summary of a very great novel, Brothers Karamazov, by Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky is supposed to be one of the greatest novelists from Russia and all that. And this is supposed to be one of the greatest novels of the world. I couldn't read the entire novel. It is 700 pages volume, but I read the summary and the characters, etc. The cast of the characters. One of the ideas there is moral responsibility. We are responsible. If there is a murderer or a sinner, we think we have nothing to do with that. But the novelist seems to say, your actions have consequences. The consequences have affect so many people in different ways. And so, in a way, you are also responsible for that sin or that murder. Krishnaji also was saying, you are responsible for the war. Your bitterness, your hostility, the enmity in your mind towards a section of people, these things ultimately constitute the reason for the war. So, we all are, one of the characters there says, I am not responsible for the murder that is committed elsewhere. How am I connected with that? The novelist doesn't seem to agree with that. And he seems to think that we are responsible for all the evil of the world. And that is one aspect. The other aspect is there is a word called grandeism in English, grandeism. We all want to be nice in the eyes of our neighbor. So, if he has a big car, you want to have a big car. If he has a big TV, you want to have a big TV, a big house. So, this is comparison. Always you are comparing yourself with your neighbor or with somebody else. So, this grandeism is also contributing to your participation in the sick society. If your neighbor has performed the marriage of his son with an expenditure of 1 crore, you want to spend at least 1 crore for the marriage of your daughter. They are always competing, comparing with others. Is it necessary to adjust to that norm that you should spend 1 crore on the marriage of your children? It is a societal norm. Is it necessary to adjust to that? We have to adjust in certain respects, like you have all to pay taxes. You can't avoid that. Society, it may be a wrong tax. It may be a kind of iniquitous tax. But once it has come as a tax by a duly constituted government, you have to pay it and you have to adjust. So, in certain aspects, you have to adjust to the norms of the society. Similarly, if one is mentally sick, schizophrenic or something like that, that won't do. You have to be cured. You have to go to an asylum. You have to be administered electric shocks. That type of treatment cannot be avoided. So, in certain aspects, there is adjustment to the society, whether it is sick or healthy or whatever it is. It is not healthy, because if it is healthy, there won't be so much injustice in the world. So many people without shelter, without food. So many people rotting with excess food. All these things we are aware, actually. Nobody has to point out. But somehow we become very immune to all these things. We get used. So our capacity or sensitivity to react to any of these things, it gets diminished, particularly with old age. In the youth, you have some idealism and all that. You want to be different. But in the old age, you have nothing to be different from. You have already adjusted and you want only a peaceful, restful life. So, comparison, basically, Krishnaji says, happy is the man who is a nothing. Are we happy with that statement? Happy is the man who is a nothing. Nothing means you are not a district collector, you are not a political leader, you are not a successful businessman. You are just a normal fellow leading a normal life. So, have this type of value that you don't compete with others, you don't bother about others, so long as you have your food and your shelter and all those things. You live your life, you have your own sensitive appreciation of beauty around you. This type of value, do we share? Do we agree to it? Or you want your, he says, if you love your children, you won't send them as soldiers. But we all want our children to be great job holders. We are not happy if they get a small package. So comparison, we have to understand that we are responsible for so many things in the society and all that. And then we must have that integrity or strength or what Chidanandji has called Atmavalam and all that. We have to have, but we may not have. Unfortunately, we are only as tall as we can grow. We can't be, all of us can't be 6-footers. So we have our limitations, but better realize our limitations and not participate enthusiastically in the values of the Sikh society. That at least we can do, I think. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Pradeep ji.
Good evening, friends. Another very interesting topic. Interesting in the sense it's a mixture of complex issues. It is not, it can never be generalized. Because fundamentally, if you see, what are we talking about? Initially, when we start talking, adjusting to a sick society, we are already conditioned. With that conditioning in me, what is sick? What is sickness? Who is sick? Physical sickness can be seen with symptoms. Physical symptoms you can see. And you can easily catch it. But psychological sickness, which J.K. talked about as neuroticism, we all have neurosis of different types. It's very hard to find. And unfortunately, in our society, this aspect is flaring up. This psychological, you will find deeply if you see yourself around your surroundings, family, everything. So, what is society? Is family, friends, the organization we work in, and the historical information we have about the society. And within family, you see a lot of variation in behavior. How? So nothing is same. Each child, if you see deeply, is quite different to the other one, unless until conditioned forcefully to be someone or something like that. So this is a combination of genetics, genes, environment, and the ever-changing memes around. Memes are sounding like genes. They travel from mind to mind. So you see what is the role of memes in this society we are in, and what they are doing, and the role of social media and all that thing. Let's not go into that detail. So second thing was society. First thing is sickness. And I was listening to so many things. Responsibility. Prasad Garu jo hai, he was talking about responsibility. Now this itself, how do you feel it? What way you feel it? How do you respond to that? Do you escape? And all those things are there around responsibility, unless again forced to conditioning certain. So that is one thing. Then Swamiji was talking about a healthy society, healthy things. Health again is a very complex issue. You see, actual health relates to the level of our immunity, which was tested enough during the COVID days, physical, ending into psychological, relationship, life and death, both with the great speed. You could see these things within 2-3 years. You could see so many things changing, So actual health relates to the level of our immunity, related to our living state of how do we live, our food, everything, the air we breathe, the thoughts we have. So everything is related, the health is related to, and we have challenges, living challenges every day. The combination of all these factors, which I have enumerated a number of them. So it is a topic of complex issues. We will never reach the subjectivity and the objectivity. And again, subjectivity, isolation, alienation, and all those factors, psychological. So I deeply, if you see, we will have to be, each one of us has to be very attentive with his value system and love and compassion in us already. You see, do we love life as such? Physical, bodily, mentally, spiritually, all those things. So again, health is a very complex issue. And we are all undergoing, you can see all of us are suffering variously, physically, affecting our whole psychology. So ultimately, these discussions are important because we must see the real, we have to be very attentive. That is the only thing. If we start with conditioning, we end up with conditioning. It's okay, you are the world, yes, but how many of us? It's a very good thing to realize that I am the world. And such a huge thing. So each of these factors that have been discussed are very deep thing, and it depends on my depth. How do I see myself in this whole conundrum? Whether I'm happy, what is happiness, what is pleasure. All those things automatically will come in a sequence. So this is all. It is already, I have taken enough time, sir. So let others take up, because I think Waghmare is waiting. Thank you very much
Thank,
for giving me
thanks,
time. I'll be
thanks,
happy.
Pradeep ji.
I'll be
Thanks,
happy
Pradeep
if
ji.
Swamiji
Thanks,
gives
Pradeep
something
ji.
about it.
Thanks, Pradeep ji. Thanks, Pradeep ji. Dinesh Waghmare, sir.
Yes, sir. Are you able to hear my voice clearly?
Yeah, yeah. We are able to hear.
Okay. With due respect, I consider this topic about us more, not about others, means not about society, but adjustment. We have already discussed in past about our values. So leave it aside. We are already living in adjustment. We are already living in adjustment to the society around us. Adjustment is what is. Adjustment means dependency, it means cooperation, it involves conformity, compulsion, compromise, etc. JK says, for most of us, our occupation is with the daily process of living, and we are concerned with how to bring about a change in that, a better adjustment, more happiness, less of this and more of that. To hold on to superficial happiness, to put away certain things that cause us pain, to avoid certain stresses, strains, to adjust ourselves to certain relationships, and so on. That is our whole occupation. Now, what he says, can we let that occupation alone? Can we? Well, means he is not denying the fact. What he says, now can we let that occupation alone, let it go on the surface, and find out deep down what our minds is, what our mind is unconsciously occupied with. So superficially let it go on, and whatever, can we observe what our unconscious mind is occupied with. JK further says, surely all superficial occupation must come to an end. He also says, surely all superficial occupation must come to an end. If my mind is occupied all the time with superficial adjustments, putting the picture straight with someone else has made askew. Always concerned with superficial things, etc. Thought can cause certain superficial adjustments. So now, as per my views, adjustment is a fact. It is a fact of life. Even JK has to do lot of adjustments in his life. Examples are court case, not going to communist countries, not coming to India in emergency, etc. Sri Ravi Shankar also said there has to be love inside, but the expression of it will depend on situation outside. There is a famous story of a famous Bengali saint, Sitaram Das Maharaj. He was having so many disciples. Out of them, some of disciples started stealing the things. So other disciples complained to Maharaj. He said, if that is the case, then who those are not stealing may go, because who are stealing, they need me more than you. Means, such if we say that this is Sikh society, then we should they need more us rather than we give a label to them that that society is sick. It is interesting to note that in tradition also, when Sri Ram asked Guru Vasishtha that considering all the world is creation of Maya, which is time bound, illusion, etc., how one should behave in world. Then Guru Vasishtha says, Antar eko bahir nana, antar bodho bahir jad, antas tyagi bahir ragi, loke vihar rago. Means you are one non-dual being inside, and the universe is multidimensional, multifaceted with multi varieties in the world. You should be sensitive and aware inside, and outer remain or show off as hard and inert. Should remain tyagi inside and ragi outside, means should show off as taking full interest in worldly affairs. Loke vihar raga, means in this way you should move in the world with leisure. So society will remain as it is. Even Krishnamurti has come, so many Buddha has come, but society remained the same. There is only some improvements because of these people. So whatever best improvements you can do. But otherwise, you should main focus on yourself. And one thing is also there: adjustment is a part of life, because there is a dependency on others. You are dependent on society. Of course, you are the society one way, but already whatever society has been created, you have to follow them, technically as well as psychologically. Technically also you have to support them, you have to follow the traffic rules and all that, and even whatever the corporate world, if you are there, then you have to follow their rules and regulations. And otherwise also, emotionally also, you have to support them. Thank you.
Pasha sir. Pasha sir, please.
Who? Me?
Please, Pasha sir.
Oh, Pasha.
Okay, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, sir. The statement, it is unintelligent to adjust to a sick society. The consequences of being a rebel, in the sense K said, can cause great struggles in one's life, can also cause mental health problems. Knowing that standing alone in a society can cause great pain, isn't it cruel for a human to ask fellow human beings to, to stand alone and not to adjust? Thank you, sir.
Chidanandji, if you have finished that cup of tea.
Yeah. So, may I request Mr. Pasha to repeat that last question? Is it not? What did you say?
Stand alone.
Turn your mic on. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What?
Isn't
Is
it
it
knowing that standing alone can cause great pain, isn't it cruel for a human being to ask fellow human beings to stand alone and not to adjust to a society?
very, very good, very practical question. I'm very clear about it. There is a saying in English: fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Without a certain thorough understanding of issue, if we simply react and isolate ourselves and stand alone, nobody will be benefited. We ourselves will be in deep trouble. Therefore, once more I must say, the teachings of Sri Krishnamurti are on a very different plane. Someone who has thoroughly examined this problem of dishonesty, along with certain anger with the lies or corruption, etc., the person will also have certain compassion towards these people who are erring. Therefore, it's not a kind of standing alone, allowing everyone to bash him up, but it's a kind of standing alone where, thanks to the inner maturity, this person will not be suffering. This person will have, in my talk also I used the word Atma Bala. This person will have something about him or her where, yes, he stands alone, but he means well for everybody. Therefore, he helps the other people. He helps other people to come around and walk the right path. So we always say that all this philosophy, all these wonderful teachings are never against common sense. So to stand alone, sending or throwing common sense to the winds will only mean self destruction. But when you have great clarity, for example, you see fire and others are not seeing, they are all going towards fire, then you stand and you shout at them, it is fire. And when they don't listen, your creativity will work. You will take a piece of cloth and throw it there. That burns. Then all of them will see, oh, we took him to be a fool. We took him to be our enemy. We took him to be somebody who wishes ill to us. But he was right. Oh, there is fire. They hold back. That is how around the world great people have actually stood alone, and rather than the society crushing them, they led them towards a better, a nobler way of living. So, if it were, let me conclude my answer this way. If it were of the form of advising somebody, stand alone, don't adjust to the society, just that much only, without helping him get that total clarity, it would be very unkind. It would be very unfair. But in these teachings, which you and I should reflect on, there comes about a lot of clarity in our mind. We will never be simply, for the sake of standing apart, we'll never be standing apart like that. We sometimes may even mingle with them to understand what they are doing. And then the inner creativity will help. Otherwise, no, don't stand alone, go with the flow. But then, in that case, you are going with the flow not out of fear, but out of certain understanding that what I'm trying to do is utterly impractical. Till I get a good solution, I'll just walk with them, not that I am with them in this way. You are in your heart not with them, but practicalities might make you go with them for a while. As soon as you get a certain opportunity to explain to them or to let them know in a clear way, you will act. So these words stand alone have to be handled very carefully. It's not for just the heroism showing your bravery, but it is out of certain noble forces that will act upon you. On one hand, clarity of the situation, how these people are doing something wrong. On the other, certain love and compassion for them. That will save you. That is what great people have always said. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Should we end this at this note, please?
Sir, Harshad sir has wanted to say
Next,
something.
sir. Oh yeah, I'm taking Modak. Next Thursday we will have Dubey sir, the paradox of change. Harshad sir, you wanted to say, please?
Yes, Harshad sir wanted to say something.
Yeah,
Sir,
Oh,
what I
I got
wanted
it.
to say,
I got it. Please finish it, Harshad sir, by
yeah,
ending remark, please.
yes, what I wanted to say
Yeah.
is just said by Swamiji has said that if you adjust to the society, there are many problems. You deteriorate your body and mind. And if you don't adjust, then also there are many problems. So the only people who are very clear, who can stand alone and they are strong, such people, they have not adjusted to society, but they have changed society. Just like Mirabai or Kabir, they were not afraid of of the society. Even the society tried to create problems for them. So, not to adjust to society, it means a tremendous clarity, love, compassion, that's all this quality. Then there's a possibility of changing some few people around you. You still cannot change the whole society. Okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harshad sir. But Waghmare said adjustment is a fact of life. So I wonder sometimes what he
Sushilji,
said.
please. Sushilji, please repeat the next Saturday's program.
Yeah, the change of the paradox. The paradox of change. The paradox of change. By Dubey sir. Dubey. Dubey sir.
Right.
Dubey sir. So everybody is requested to join it. We are going to listen after a very, very long time. I hope that Chidanandji and Harshad sir both will also attend this. Thank you very much. Thanks, Modak. Thanks to everybody. And please end it. Please end it.
Thank you. Thank you.